Pokemon Day is right around the corner and it's always one of the best times to be a Pokemon fan. It's a time for new events for current games, new reveals of future spin-offs, and of course, the reveal of the next mainline Pokemon game or DLC. History kinda dictates we are about to get a remake, but the glow of a new Legends game looms on the back of our minds, as well as the possibility of a third installment of a new Novan adventure. And so, Johto or Unova is the question most are asking. But what if we get something different? Hey, I'm not so Ace Trainer, and what about some Gen 9 sequels? Let's get into it. I don't know exactly who did it, but I read a tweet that said that Kitakami felt like they were paying homage to Johto, while the Blueberry Academy felt like they were paying homage to Unova. The two regions we all theorize are coming next got a whole bunch of love in the Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet DLC, and that's undeniable. The traditional setting of the Teal Mask made us all dream about what is arguably the most beloved region in the franchise's history, and making us want to set foot on it for the third time. And all of the futuristic style of the Blueberry Academy, plus the fact it is actually in Unova, and all of the references they hit there, which you can check out right here by the way, was almost like a way to quench the thirst of all of the region's fans. And it was this that made me think about what could be on the way if it wasn't one of those two regions. Previously, I've said that I could easily see a Legends Johto or Sinjo game, and Black 3 and White 3, without any order in particular. This felt right at the time. Johto would get a Legends game, a traditional / past game, while Unova would get another sequel, a modern plus future game. But that was before the release of the Indigo disc. That was before all of the mysteries that were left unsolved in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. While we get a superficial timeline crossing explanation in the Crystal Pool cutscene, which can kind of explain the circles and arrows in Area Zero, the mysterious plate, and even the Paradox Pokemon, that same explanation raises all kinds of questions. For example, if the Paradox Pokemon come from a different timeline through the so-called time machine, and since we haven't seen any other way to get into Area Zero besides jumping down there or seemingly going down the elevator thingy, how did the Iron Threads or Great Tusk made its way to the Asado Desert? If it was a temporary situation like when the professor appeared before us in Kitakami or like when Heath saw them down there in Area Zero, I would understand, but that wasn't the case. The Earthquaking Titan was right there ready to munch on some more Herba Mystica and battle us on the spot. So if we assume that Great Tusk and Iron Threads are not having a beautiful set of wings and that they cannot activate a locked elevator, how are they there? Who was responsible for it? That's mystery number one, but it's very far away from being the last one. Still outside of Area Zero, we have the Occulture, the magazine that has information about the Paradox Pokemon, sometimes even referencing sightings in Paldea, though we have only met a Titan Elephant. This raises two more questions. The oldest one is who is writing for the Occulture? Who, in a world of Scarlet and Violet book deniers, believes all of that and puts it in paranormal magazine form? And the second question is, if there truly were sightings of Paradox Pokemon, though none were ever found, were they temporary connections of timelines like in the Crystal Pool, or was someone dealing with them way before we set foot inside the crater? Maybe someone like the Pokemon League, for example. But is that all? Well, no. What about the information we have about the opposing timelines Paradox Pokemon in our Pokédex entry? Knowing what we know now, we can assume that the timelines have crossed before and maybe those Pokemon made their way to our timeline sometime in the past. But if that's the case, did Jack know about all of that already? And if not, since he mentions a paranormal magazine in all of the opposing timelines Paradox Pokemon entries, did the writer for the Occulture know about all of that already? And only now, finally, we step foot inside the Great Crater of Paldea and are met with the circles and the mysterious plate. While they could easily be warnings from different timelines, a proof of both of them coexisting at a certain point, with the circles in the ground being more of an ancient or scarlet thing, and the mysterious plate more of a future or violet thing, we find no explanation for them in-game. Sure, we've all seen the Treasures of Ruin theory about the circles, but if you separate the circles like the person that made the theory did, well, then it's not the same as they are in the game, right? Both of them stand as unsolved mysteries of Area Zero. The professor's death is also a huge mystery, considering how we never see a grave. Sure, we were told by the AI professor that it was what happened and that the feral Koraidon or Miraidon are to blame, but I find it weird that there's no proof of anything but a struggle. Did the professors die or did they escape to whatever timeline they were accessing? with the AI assuming that they perished. And also, where is the opposing professor that we know was there? I made a video about it, but that's speculation and nothing more. They left that hint in-game for a reason, surely. But those could simply be mysteries that are meant to stay as mysteries and nothing more, wasn't it for how the whole Indigo Disc DLC played out? The final part of the game felt a bit rushed, and the way they present Terrapaco's final form is a hint that things staying unexplained. It is a visual representation of the saying "turtles all the way down", which references the idea that the world was held by a turtle, and that turtle was held by another turtle, and so on and so forth. There is always an explanation for the question, but it will lead into another question. Simple, right? Well, yeah, wasn't it for the fact that we were hit with a new information that there was a researcher that leaked the Indigo Disc to another sponsor that we know nothing about, and that sponsor then gave it to Gita. After all is said and done, when we meet her in the Blueberry Academy's League Club, she implies that we should discuss about the whole Area Zero situation. But with all the secrecy in the world, tells us that that isn't the right place to talk about it, since it is too public. Before that, she even admitted hiding some details from Briar herself. And speaking of Briar, she writes the hidden treasure of Area Zero, gives it to us, goes to meet her publisher and disappears forever. A character that seemed to be the most intriguing one from the DLC, not only because she was a descendant of Heath with an obsession with Terrapagos, but also because she sported clothing with elements from both the Scarlet and the Violet books, either implying the existence of both in the same timeline or simply implying knowledge about it. She just disappears. After the Mochi Mayhem, we can interact with Kieran and Carmine once more, but not with her. It makes no sense to me unless her story isn't over. And all these things, more specifically the events of the Indigo Disc, make me think that there should be more to come for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. With all of the effort that went into developing these really good characters and all the love that they got as soon as they appeared on our Nintendo Switches, I don't think the fans would oppose to that if it was done in a more well-optimized way. In fact, I could even see a new Unova game working as both a sequel to Unova as well as a sequel to the story of Paldea. Briar is very likely from there, considering her job in the Blueberry Academy, and Gita even talks about having business with the Unova Pokemon League, bridging both regions right there. They could make a game that both shows us a new take on the Gen 5 region, while using the plot of Scarlet and Violet as fuel to that fire. Maybe we're not the same character, but we're someone that crosses the same Terra path. Maybe we even play in another timeline and get glimpses of this one. I know it might be just me, and that these mysteries maybe were sadly never meant to be solved, which is fine. Lore doesn't need to be fully explained, and that's part of what makes it fun. But the way the game leaves these little things scattered here and there in diaries and dialogue makes it feel like they're crumbs of something much bigger, that I would love seeing develop either in a sequel or as part of a new story that connects to this one, just like the timelines seem to be doing. And that is all I have for you today. I would honestly be really happy about continuing the story of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, either in a sequel or in a completely new game. But what about you? Would you like to see a sequel to the Gen 9 games with all the mysteries involved? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. You can follow me on social media or catch one of my streams here and on YouTube every day of the week. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.